What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 490 of the Smark Out Moments Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we'll be breaking down some of the current events and rumors and news and gossip and other things that have happened in the world of pro wrestling over the past few days we feel like talking about. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
We're 10 weeks away from number 500.
The big 500, and I don't have 100% of a game plan about what we're doing there, but I have something in mind that Awesome Piano Man had mentioned on episode 16 to do on episode 500. So that's an indication of something that's
That was 10 years ago, I'm sure.
That's the 10-year mark is going to be coming up on October 29th. That'll be the 10-year anniversary of Smack Talk. So that'll be wedding week. But yeah,
so
we
celebrating your greatest accomplishment by almost accomplishing something as great.
490 is going to be following the more traditional way of what we did for mostly 490 episodes last week. For anybody who's wondering, like, well, where's 489? We combined the hot tags with the mailbag, and it's a good thing we did, because last week was midway through the mailbag. We had all the hot tags basically hit with all the releases. So if you're looking through the numbering scheme and you're wondering why that's the case, it's a little bit off because of that, but it is still technically episode 490. And we've got some topics to talk about here. That's kind of why we're doing this. Otherwise, what will be the point, Imagine having a podcast where you'd go like, all right, we got nothing to say, so see ya.
Well, I've seen people do it, so
yeah,
stranger things have happened.
To be fair, I probably could get an hour out of having absolutely nothing to say. So.
7-hour show, baby.
Yeah. Maybe I need to do another episode of that. But whatever we're talking about here, we want to know what you have to say. So drop a comment below. Tell us your thoughts on these hot tags and anything else you want to chime in about. Obviously, the best way to do that is to hop on over to the YouTube channel if you're not listening to it there. And while you're over there and you're dropping your comments and you're telling us your thoughts, then hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell, hit the applause button, hit the join button. That's the same thing as the Patreon. Patreon.com/smarkoutmoment is the best way to help us grow. It's the best way to be a morale boost to keep me going for many different ways, and to ensure that we do some different types of content. There is the Pick Your Poison tier, but there's also the Dark Casts. So if, for instance, you want to check out what our pay-per-view ideas would be for the mock draft that we did, that is over on the Patreon. So subscribe to that $5 tier, because I've been putting the Dark Cast things on the $5 tier just to try to entice more people to do the $5 tier. Subscribe to that and upward, and you'll get access to that. So keep that in mind. There's also the merchandise shops on TeePublic and Redbubble if you want to help out in another way to just kind of throw some spare change toward our direction and help fund us and help make things fun. And the same thing applies to fanboysanonymous.com, the sister website, the blue brand that we do the geek culture topics like the movie reviews and some other things along that whole spectrum. You should be checking out, if you're interested in the James Bond series, our Bond cast of A Review to a Kill that we do each and every week. We're going to do GoldenEye soon. I'm really excited for it.
I'm so excited.
And we've got some other kind of things that are things we've just released recently, things that are in the past you might be interested in checking out, and things that are coming up too. We're going to hopefully do the Mortal Kombat watch along. We're going to try to do something based off of Falcon and Winter Soldier series recap. We're going to do something pretty soon probably about Justice Society. So lots of irons that are in the fire right now, and if you want to help support Fanboys Anonymous, do that.
Such a good year for Fanboys Anonymous.
There's more content on Fanboys from these 4 months than maybe the last 2 years combined, I think.
That's awesome.
So definitely Fanboys getting that extra rub. And yeah, all right, let's just get into the hot tags here. Let's talk about one of the more recent releases. Peyton Royce has trademarked what's going to be seemingly her new ring name, Cassie Lee.
I don't like it as much as Casey Cassidy, but Cassie Lee was kind of what she was working with when she was doing the YouTube channel she had while in WWE. And honestly, I like this better for her and for Jessie McKay. Because I didn't like the whole, hi, I'm Cassie Lee, welcome to my YouTube channel. I play Peyton Royce on television. That's a personal thing. I just don't care for that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds for Cassie Lee, Jessie McKay, and really all the release talent.
So it's like, hi, I'm Austin Creed. You can find me at Xavier Woods, and my name's Austin Watson.
Yeah, like that's why I like that he changed his socials to Austin Creed wins, because it's like, all right, if you're gonna do more stuff as Austin Creed, just be Austin Creed.
Right. Xavier Woods PhD was what he was before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to do Austin Creed wins, Xavier Woods wins, Austin Creed wins works, I think.
Honestly, at this point, I'm just like, fuck, do you call him? Should he just be Austin Creed? Like,
Yeah, instead of Xavier Woods.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I'm sure if he ever goes to another company, he's going to be Austin Creed.
He's gonna be Austin Creed, yeah.
Yeah. Consequences Creed. Back in the
Who would have
day,
thought that he would be like one of the top fun guys to watch?
yeah, like I liked him with the whole Consequences Creed thing, and I was like, this dude's cool. But now he's one of those guys where I'm like, Hall of Fame him, give him that King of the Ring, make him at least Intercontinental Champion. Like I really like Austin, and never met the guy, but he seems awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome
they really
Creed.
do. All of them do, honestly.
Yeah, it's true. Big E seems like a great dude. Kofi seems like a great dude. So
Big E just being very raw and honest on the After the Bell. They did like an audio diary where it's just him from his house to night 2 of WrestleMania, just doing the whole 40 minutes of just like him getting ready and stuff like that. It's so genuine, and he's just like, I feel scummy saying it, but pandemic was a blessing in disguise because the lack of travel has allowed me to, heal and focus my mind on other things. And they just seem like just great people.
that's a topic that I don't think a lot of people want to really talk about, but that's actually a whole different topic worth talking about. It's not planned on the hot tags, but let's get into it a little bit. The pandemic, as awful as it is, of course, I wish it never happened. It's been detrimental in a lot of ways. People have lost, countless amounts of lives and careers and everything like that. But it's weird when you see something like that and you go, yeah, there are some weird positives that came out of a thing. It's like when you do like a slash and, well, when you do, like everybody does this, when there's like a slash and burn type of a situation with like crops, and you're like, well, that can't possibly be good because everything's on fire. And then it's like, no, it enriches the soil and then it's, that kind of thing. It's weird that like, it's true. They were just they're all hanging out in Florida. And unless you're somebody who's flying out all the time, and that could be annoying, you're flying out all the time anyway. For going around on the road. You don't have to drive like
And
crazy.
even like, yeah, you're flying out so much less.
Yeah, because you're doing it once a week. So you fly out on a Sunday, you head to your hotel on Monday, and you leave on Tuesday or something. And then you spend the rest of the week with your family. Like, I think that there might be a good chunk of people that eventually, when this ends, they're going to end up being like, oh my God, I hate that we went back to traveling.
It's either that or it's going to be like, oh my God, even though this takes such a toll on us, I didn't realize how much we took this for granted. It's going to be one extreme or the other. I'm very curious to see where their headspace is at now. Because you're right, it is a lot of a change. They're not sleeping in hotels, they're not scrambling for meals and to find a gym. They're so at peace, and that's kind of why, like, even though during the investor call they're like, yep, our next, whenever we have a live card again, we're touring permanently after that. It's like, shit, even I've kind of gotten used to like the Thunderdome setup, and I kind of like that it's. I don't like the fake crowd noise of it, but I do like that WWE has a setup. It seems like it's very appropriate for this company at this time to have like a home base that they can just go to all the time.
I feel like that's even more so with AEW a positive. Because it kind of seems like everybody can just go to work in AEW and they all have fun at the office.
Yeah, I know Jim Ross had said they're going to start touring pretty aggressively beginning in July. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm really looking forward to that. You know?
Obviously, like, we want fans because that makes it
Right,
so
but
much
it's like,
more.
it's weird. Like, I like what they're doing. You know, I like how they're kind of stationary and they just sort of, the show grows around them rather than it being, well, they're in Corpus Christi tonight, so it's not as hot as if they're in Madison Square Garden. Like
Or
everything
even
just
just the
feels.
idea of the injuries, like you mentioned, people just being like able to rest up a little bit. That's got to be so advantageous.
Oh, absolutely. Like, because even Biggie said it. He's like, listen, it's not the wrestling that sucks. It's the travel. It's, not being able to sleep in your own bed. It's stuff like that. So I'd imagine that this has gotten him like, man, an off season would be great kind of thing,
Yeah. Even if it's just, I don't know, a couple weeks, probably would
Like
make a big difference.
hopefully house shows return, but also hopefully like if they don't, it allows them to still have that bit of rest.
I don't even know if I want house shows to return.
If they did, I'd say you have to go back to not totally like it was in the 80s where, you're building towards house shows, but more like in the 90s where you had Raw, but you still had like house show matches that you wouldn't see on Raw. I don't want house shows to be carbon copy of what you see on TV every week kind of thing.
I'm like, just have them do TV. Make it to where you only travel once a day. Or, well, once a week, not once a day.
Well, but then you go, well, I feel bad for the fans in Kalamazoo because they're never going there if they're only doing TV, you know?
Kalamazoo can go to the next big area. Like, they never go to my city. I have to go over to Philly,
Yeah. You're in a sweet spot though. Like you can go to the Izod, or you can go to Philly, or you can go to
Atlantic City or, yeah.
MetLife or whatever.
Well, where is Kalamazoo?
It's in Michigan, which I guess
Do
they
you have
just
to
go
make a left turn at Albuquerque, or we following the Looney Tunes method for this?
Yes.
So Cassie Lee's a good name for Peyton Royce.
Yeah.
I like it. It seems like it'll fit her. It's her name kind of in some ways, so it's not like it's like, oh, it doesn't fit her. But then again, you see people every once in a while where it's like, you're not a George. You're clearly a Sebastian or something, like.
Cole's name. It's Austin something. Austin Jenkins.
For who?
Adam Cole. And I'm like,
Oh, he's
no, you're
Austin
not. You're Adam
Jenkins?
Cole.
Yeah, no, you're not an Austin Jenkins. I'm sorry. Change your
Adam
name.
Cole. Pal.
Now, he could be Cole something or other.
Cole Adams.
Cole Adams. Yeah, he could be Cole Adams, and I'd be like, all right, that's okay. Like, it's still just, it's weird to me to look at Kane and go, hey, Glenn. Like, it's just like, no, you're Kane.
Yeah, that Hall of Fame speech. Whew, I was feeling it.
That's Peyton Royce is a name that I never really liked, but I was like, man, at least it's not like bad. It's not Michael McGillicuddy,
Yeah, but we're getting there again, and that concerns me.
Yeah, now everybody's like Nash Carter and whatnot.
Yeah, Nash Carter, Wesley. It's like, what I like Wesley a little bit more than I like Nash Carter. It's like, okay, you're a tag team guy for life, pal.
Nash Carter to me sounds like something that they would have made fun of on The Simpsons. Like, oh god, what was the name of that show? It's practically Nash Carter. There was some TV show in the 90s where there was like a cop, and it was like if it would have been like Dash Carter or something like.
I'm thinking Walker, but I know you're not thinking.
Nah, not Walker Texas Ranger, but like something like that, where it was just kind of like, go check out Nash Carter. starring
cannon combo.
David Hasselhoff or something, like
Yeah.
let me see here, TV show Nash Bridges.
Yeah.
There you go. Or Nash Bridges, Nash Carter, just like, Trent Steele, that kind of thing. I like the name Cassie Lee. I think it'll fit her. I'm really interested to see where she goes. If she goes to AEW, that's, I think, better than anything else, but we'll see.
Her and Jesse go to Impact and just win those belts.
I'm still hoping Impact just merges. When is
Me
that?
too, pal, but that's a different topic.
When is the Rich Swann match? Sunday?
You wouldn't know it. They didn't promote it on. They don't promote anything on the two shows. But you'd think they'd beat that drum hard, considering it's Kenny Omega challenging for the Impact World title.
The titles are both on the lines, aren't they?
Yes, those are merging practically.
So all the more reason, just make Impact part of AEW. Come on, make it simpler.
You and I both want that so bad.
Yeah. Not that I would be like, oh, if they'd say that that's the extra show, I wouldn't be like watching it, but let's talk about some other, one other released member of the women's division and two that are still there. There was a report that came out that said that there was a plan that Chelsea Green was going to be in a stable with Vanessa Borne and Santana Garrett. And the idea behind it was the Pussycat Dolls meets Charlie's Angels.
So that's with an interview with Sean. Yeah. And honestly, I'm all for that. I'd be all for that.
I don't know. I don't think that probably would have worked. But then again, maybe I'm just approaching it with a little bit of a bias of I don't think that the Pussycat Dolls is something I would be super into,
It'd be interesting, I can't say I'd love it or hate it. I'd have to see it. Because, we haven't had something like that in a while. So maybe it would have looked good,
I like Green. I like Santana. I like Vanessa. So if they would have eventually done something with it, I would have been at least interested to check it out. But that to me seems more like a pitch than something that's more like, oh, okay, I'm going to sign off on that being really, really good,
Well,
I can see somebody going, it's Pussycat Dolls meets Charlie's Angels, and me being like, all right, but outside of your elevator pitch, what is it? Who's going to be what type of characters are they going to be? Is it going to be something that's more babyface? Is it going to be something that's more heel? Because that seems like more of a babyface thing to me, but all three of them, well, no, Santana's been babyface, but Borne's been mostly a heel and Green's been a heel. So are they going to be a heel version of that? Or,
I think they would have mostly been a heel because I don't know what's making you think that would be a babyface thing, because I just look at it like...
Well, Charlie's Angels and Pussycat Dolls are both babyfaces, kind of.
Well...
Charlie's Angels definitely are.
Well, yeah. I think it'd be like a... I almost said Spice Girls, but sure. They'd be like a bratty kind of Spice Girl deal.
What's the name of the other thing? The Powerpuff Girls. I have not watched any Powerpuff Girls thing, but that also seems to be that sort of thing to me where people would be like, it's like the Powerpuff Girls, but whatever.
Especially that new live action one. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's a conversation for fanboys.
That's a different discussion because I've not watched a single episode of any of that.
You've never seen anything from the Powerpuff Girls ever?
Nope.
Huh. Well, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like an age thing, so maybe.
That's a Cartoon Network, I think, right?
Yeah, that was a Cartoon Network.
Never really got into Cartoon Network. That's another thing.
Really?
Yeah. So to me, when you start getting into like the whole pantheon of Cartoon Network shows, I might have seen like one.
I guess that makes sense. You do have like 10 years on me.
Not 10 years. I'm not that much older.
How
But a couple of years can make a big difference. Like Rocket League?
Rocket Power?
Rocket Power. Okay, I'm like that.
Rocket League is something else.
That's past my my Nickelodeon.
Okay, yeah, and that's like smack dab center of mine, Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that stable could have been interesting, but it's more of just one of those things to be like, yeah, they were going to do that. Pass along that information.
That's cool, and I feel bad. I think she should have been given a chance. You know?
I think that almost everybody needs to get more chances.
Yeah, but like I just feel like she deserved more, you know?
You mean Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea specifically.
I mean, but there's that
like,
term.
Borne's still there technically. Santana Garrett still there technically. If they want to run with them, they can.
They could always just do this whole angle too and not have Chelsea in it.
Have Aaliyah. Fuck, she's been there forever.
They could. We could see Aaliyah, Vanessa, Borne, and Santana Garrett in this role instead. I wonder what they would call it too. Because they can't just be so outright and call it like the, I don't know, Pussycat Angels or something, you know?
The bougie brats or something. I don't know.
With a Z. Like the stupid dolls.
I don't know if they own that.
They might. They might, yeah. I don't know. I'm not up to snuff on my preteen girl toy copyright stuff.
If I do a quick Google, I'd imagine somebody owns Brat.
I would assume so. And then you'd click through it and you'd find out that it's the same group that Comrade is going. They just trademark and everything. Yeah, let's move on to another thing here. Let's talk about some hirings and some firings. The newest recruits.
Let's talk about the genesis for this, shall we?
I'm going to hold off on the one part. I think we're going to talk about a positive one. Let's talk about the Performance Center recruits.
Okay.
So even though they signed her last year, Saray is being lumped into the latest group. But there's also a couple other people, and I don't know a single one of them in any fashion whatsoever.
I've heard one name, but I don't know a single one of them either.
So there's I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Sanjana George. I'm assuming it might be like Sanjana. I don't know for sure. She is 24-year-old from Bangalore, India. There is Jennifer Michell Iglesias, 23-year-old champion powerlifter from Mexico. Matt Farrelly from Sydney, Australia, who was apparently on the Australian Survivor Champions versus Contenders in 2019, which I've never seen. Stephanie Delandre, I don't know for sure, from Sydney, Australia. So they got rid of 2 Australians, and we're like, we need an Australian girl. She has a background in dance and soccer, and apparently is an indie wrestler. And then, in addition to the WWE Performance Center coaching staff, is Hideki Suzuki.
And I've heard the name. It didn't pop off any memories per se, but I've heard the name, and I'm glad that they announce coaching hires like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because they do need coaches. Can't just release a couple of them and then hire one at a time and then not be kind of. Eventually, people are not going to be able to be there. You know, you're not just going to have the same people all the time. So I like that they announced another group of people. I don't know anything about them, but at the same time, I don't need to know anything about them. They think that they're good enough. Cool. Thumbs up then. They also have a new broadcaster, Megan Morant. I think it's Morant.
I was worried that this meant Kayla was getting pushed out for a second.
I think that she's there to replace Charlie.
I thought the one dude replaced Charlie because Charlie was Raw.
Yeah, but, you know, Charlie was all over the place.
Yeah. So who knows?
You kind of need two people to replace Charlie in some way, because Charlie was like kind of replacing Renee, you know?
Right.
So I haven't seen,
because Renee hasn't even been gone a year.
Yeah, when did she leave?
After SummerSlam.
Huh. But the Megan, the new girl to the team, she was on SmackDown tonight. She seems fine.
Yeah.
You know?
She's got like a football background or something, and kudos.
Yeah. Most of the time when they announce a new broadcaster, it's like, well, they're all good for the most part. It's just, I kind of always want something that's like above and beyond. Like I want a Mean Gene back again, because Mean Gene was just so good, you know?
How do you get those though? Like, do radio personalities still sound like that?
They were going to say, do they still make them?
No, yes, I almost
like
did.
coming off an assembly line. Yeah, we ran out of parts. It's a little too hard to make them these days.
Like a potato head or something.
Yeah.
We need the radio broadcaster voice. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a whole Terminator thing, and it's Cyberdyne Systems Model 101 kind of thing.
I've been watching so much 80s and early 90s WWF. Mean Gene, he's not like, you can say technically, well, that's Renee Young today. No. Mean Gene was a character in himself, was a part of the show, would challenge the talent, kind of, like Bobby Heenan. You should be ashamed of yourself, like.
Thank you, Hulk Hogan. Mean Gene was so good.
Yeah, it's almost like they're afraid to have that now.
Well, I mean, if you want to make sure that they don't have any personalities and they all just stare off into nothingness, then yeah, you can never get another Mean Gene if you don't want anybody to ever showcase a personality.
For real.
It's a shame though, because if you're doing that like all-time roster type of thing, usually when I'm trying to do those kind of lists, I try to think of like, well, what would my commentary teams be? What would my ring announcer be? Which is always like, well, it's Fink. So, but like, if I'm going to have like an all-time sort of situation like that, Mean Gene's my interviewer, because he's Mean Gene, Let me tell you something, Megan. I don't know.
I agree. I would probably take Renee, because Renee over time was allowed to show some personality, but I would love if we could get more Mean Gene.
See, Renee is a panelist in my mind.
Yeah.
Like my ideal panel is probably, well, I don't know, because you have to have revolving people, but Renee's probably the host of my ideal panel.
That's fair.
So anyway, the hirings are on that side of things. The firings are a different story. Now, this revolves around a story that I thought was going to be a slightly different type of hot tag, but it's changed over the course of even just like a day.
Yeah.
Mickie James had tweeted out that she had gotten her belongings sent to her from WWE now that she had gotten released last week. And she showed in the picture that they sent her a trash bag with her name just slapped onto it. It's just like, this is Mickey's crap in a box shipped over to her. My gut reaction, and I'm pretty sure the same gut reaction that most people had, was, wow, that's really disrespectful. Who has this grudge against Mickie James, and why would they do something so mean like that? Like, who did she upset, and why is this okay, and whatever? Triple H eventually says the person responsible for this was fired, and that this is like an embarrassing type of thing. And then it starts coming out that Jillian got the same thing like
10 years ago.
10 years ago. And Maria got the same thing
last year
when she got released. And it's like, oh, they've been doing this for a decade, if not longer.
So All right, so let's start there because at first you're like, again, who has this grudge against Mickey, or just in general, like you start wondering because we don't know about the men in this case. Do they send Motorali his stuff in a trash bag? Do they even allow the men to have, drawers or lockers?
Right,
But
because it's like if it for anybody who doesn't know, the reason that they have stuff is because they keep some things there with the traveling. I was gonna call them tanks. The travel. WWE just has tanks rolling. Yeah, the traveling trucks that have a lot of their the ring equipment and everything like that. So they'll just have like drawers for other people because why would they want to carry that stuff around all the time? And it's kind of the difference is like, well, there's one championship that you bring for media appearances and for TV things and for house shows and to carry around and whatever, and then there's one you take pictures with and you do that kind of thing. It's the TV belt and the travel belt kind of a thing. So they do take for some reason, for some people, they do take things like maybe their ring boots, or if they've got like a big fancy coat, like Edge's coat might be one of those things that they just kind of keep instead of him traveling around and it can be messed up and, whatever. Some person like a Mojo Rawley might not really have any gear that he needs to leave there. But then somebody who's more lavish, like a Velveteen Dream. He didn't get released, but or at least not that we know. But if he's got, these big coats and stuff, they might just be like, just keep it here, kind of a thing. So we don't know if any of the men got that or if it's just the women. And that might also be a scenario where maybe the men didn't get that because the men weren't keeping anything there. And if they would have, then they would have gotten the same kind of thing.
right, and now I'm just trying to provide like color and backstory because the truth is, we would later find out that it was a process for a long time, and we would, eventually Mark Carrano, who was, showcased heavily as part of Total Divas. They kind of went into his whole job about talent relations and stuff like that. He was the one that got the finger pointed at him, and he got fired. But he wasn't the only person that got fired. He's just the only person that got fired in direct relation to this.
Yeah, like he might still have been on the chopping block because and we'll get
They did
into
bring
it,
in
they
Cantu.
did shift a whole bunch of other people around and release some other people and everything. But at the very least, he is the one that they're pinning this on, which it's going to sound like we're making an excuse, and we're not. Fundamentally, this is very tone deaf. You would think that any reasonable person would be like, let's not ship somebody's stuff when they get fired in a trash bag. But to play devil's advocate, here's what I'm assuming has been happening. I don't know. So maybe I'm making an excuse for somebody when they really are literally going, send their trash bags and screw them. Then that's absolutely horrible if they are. I'm assuming it's some intern somewhere is just there's an underling and an underling and an underling and all that kind of, the 5 steps up the ladder
Right.
type of a thing. And whoever is responsible for passing along the information just says, make sure that you get all the stuff from the people that we just released and send it back to them. And they're essentially told from their supervisor that you just do it the simplest, easiest, cheapest, quickest
Here's
way.
a big, hefty bag. This will hold the most.
Right.
Because, again, assuming we don't know what they have, this will hold the most. Send it in this. The thing is, and Mickie later admits to this, and that's where things take another turn. Because Mickie put out a statement today that stated, well, she replied directly to Steph, who apologized to her, was like, I'm embarrassed for you. And she said, look, I know that I'm not saying the trash bag was malicious. I'm saying it's hard for me not to look at this and recall the booking of the last 3 years and
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's symbolism there.
Right. It's tone deaf. Like I said, it's if you think about it for a split second when you're doing it, you're gonna go, maybe a trash bag's not the best way of getting this message across. Now, I'm not saying that they need to package it in, some gold box and, whatever, but it is kind of like, well, there's other packing material and
I think
there
this will be the
is,
last time that ever happens, but I also feel like this was whomever laid down the order, whether it was Carrano or whatever, and the underling and the underling and the underling, if that is the situation that ended up happening, being like, well, this is just for them, they're just doing their job.
right. And it's probably the type of thing that it's go with the cheap kind of thing. Hefty bags are, relatively reliable because it's supposed to hold a lot of stuff. And it's just, grab another box of trash bags if you run out, kind of a thing. Instead of having prepackaged, this is like a WWE shipping container that we're going to spend money on, or, something.
They're doing that now, though.
Now I'm sure that they are because it'll be a PR type of thing. Yeah. But
And
And
like,
I don't blame them for the type of thing, but at the same time, it's just like it's a bad situation. It's like I'm sure the supervisor who says spend as little money as possible so that way I can report the money that we're using, and so I don't lose my job because they don't think that I'm wasting money, type of thing. But that's what you get when you get these like big corporations and you get organizational structures like that. Everybody's looking for their own job, and you can't blame them for it. But people 5 steps up above the ladder aren't going to care what somebody 5 steps lower on the ladder is really going to be. If they would have spent more money on this instead of doing these trash bags over the years, somebody probably would have said, why are we wasting money on that? You know?
right. And again, it's just one of those things where this hit Mickie because Mickie felt like, hey, you booked me like I was trash and you treated me like I was trash. Maybe you didn't hear Maria talk about this because it didn't hit her as hard, but once Mickie put it out there, she was like, yeah, I'll just say it. They sent me one too, you know?
Right. And I can totally understand. I would be feeling the same way. Like, if I got fired from a job and then they sent me things in a trash bag where it's not even like a performance based thing where it's like, oh, I was trying to sell a bunch of cars and I didn't, so then they let me go. If it's more like, well, we consider you trash and we just want to leave, leave our business kind of thing, I would be taking that personally. I would be like, well, they did this to send me a message just to be jerks. I'm
Uh,
surprised it hasn't come up all these years.
yeah, I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised that with as frustrated as people were last year, I'm surprised Maria didn't go, and I'm pregnant and they sent me my shit in a trash bag. Are
Right.
you for real? Like, so it's a shitty situation for all involved because not only did Carrano get let go, but like John Cohn was briefly moved out of his talent relations spot.
Well, yeah,
He's
there's a whole nother side of this stuff too, because it's not like this is all happening just because of that. But recently we had this whole thing with Carrano and John Laurinaitis where they decided to rehire Laurinaitis to be part of talent relations. And it seemed like it was kind of doing like 50-50. Like Carrano's going to be kind of maybe the bad guy and the guy who's talking to people about certain things, and Laurinaitis is going to be talking to people about certain things, whatever. And now it just seems like they just went, screw it, restructure a whole lot of things. They got rid of people. They like even people that have been there for a long time, like Joe Villa. I think he had been there for like 10 years.
yeah, like I know the name Joe Villa. I've
Right.
seen that email a lot. Mead Rust isn't a name that I know personally, but like that's a name I've seen a few times. Bro, what a
Nicole
name, by the way. Mead Rust.
Mead Rust.
Yeah, Dan Engler, who is referee, Rudy Charles. First of all, I only found out like in November that Rudy Charles was even working there. And then I guess he had some kind of talent relations spot. John Cone, I didn't know was working in talent relations.
Right, yeah. All I knew was that he was one of the more senior referees, and he
Like,
apparently had some kind of role in talent relations, which they said that he was let go from that part, but he would still be a referee. And then Mick Foley
yeah,
tweets out saying, like, hey, John Cohn's great. Maybe reconsider this. And
and
then they
they
said he's been
damn
reinstated.
sure did.
So I'm really confused about situations like that, because then I go, well, did they literally not care that much to where all it took was Mick Foley saying, how about nah? And then they went, all right. Or did they really not want to release him from that role? Or like, I can't imagine firing somebody from a position and then later that day, very casually just being like, nah, never mind.
I guess because he's gonna be working with them anyway, it wasn't like, hey, never mind, you can move back in, and they're just like, you know what, we changed our minds. Foley likes you and he blasted us publicly. So, yeah, just stay.
It is kind of like, if I were one of the other people, I'd be like, hey, Foley, can you tweet them about me too? Kind of thing.
Like, that's another thing. 2 instances where it was just like, oh, maybe we should start tweeting them. Because if you think about it, who of last year's releases, who stayed?
Drake Maverick.
The one guy who put out a heartfelt thing on social media.
And then the only other person was Tino Sabatelli, who oddly enough went to AEW and then got rehired and was kind of found out to not be the person who was spoiling things. So that whole situation's weird. Again, we haven't seen Tino. I don't know why.
It is something to me that I keep thinking, hey, yeah, maybe just start tweeting people. Maybe, and which is bad because I don't like when like fans get that idea, like when they tweeted Snickers to change the name of the Moolah Memorial because they were so upset. Which, by the way, I still don't fully grasp because it's like, yeah, she was shitty, but like this is a company who still works with Hogan, so like you could have kept the Moolah trophy.
I'm happy that we don't have to say the fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal, because Moolah
We just would have
Memorial.
called it the Moolah.
Yeah, but I mean, just saying Moolah Memorial, I'm sure at some point I would have been like, the fabulous Moolah. Just kind of rubber baby monkey bumpers kind of thing. Like, I think it's a weird situation. And now that we don't know who's being shuffled around and who's going to be what, there's another thing that came out that Nick Khan's getting more power than ever. And that he's trying to figure out a way to make WWE more of like a Marvel and DC side kind of thing.
So I just said this. I'm like, all right, here's the thing.
There's your ding.
But Marvel is good. Look, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. Like, Marvel's good. Can you imagine if Marvel was sitting there right now, like, but we gave you those Tobey Maguire movies. Remember those? Yeah, the 2000s. I mean, that's what WWE does. They're not. The way they present themselves now is nauseating because they come across like, oh, we were the hot brand. They think they're Apple, and they're fucking not. They're not. If anything, this
What
trash
fruit are
bag
they?
they're the fucking pit of a grape, Tony. That's what they are.
I'm thinking like, are you going kiwi? You going kumquat? You going like some kind of melon?
Like this whole trash bag thing, it kind of shows you can't take the wrestling out of wrestling. It's a carny fucking business. Stop trying to pretend like you're fucking Marvel. Because you're not. You're not Disney. And for anybody who says, oh, well, they're negative. Listen, it's my dream to work there. It absolutely is. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to work there. But I'm also not going to go work there and go, hey guys, I think I just joined Disney.
Well, Disney's Disney's another whole can of worms.
Yeah, but it's like you guys don't even have a Mickey Mouse level character right now. You got Oswald for a new generation, and you're trying to pass it off as Mickey, and it's not working.
Oswald's cooler though.
You've said this before, and I disagree.
What's Mickey done?
Everything, literally.
Who did he beat? Old school wrestling mentality. Yeah, good job, kid. What's your finish?
It's like, okay, they're excited because look, they got an anime coming to Crunchyroll. They got these shows on A&E. They got a Mysterio, a cartoon coming to Mexican Cartoon Network. They got a lot of content.
You get any indication of what that anime thing's supposed to be about?
No clue, but I can't wait.
I hate anime, so
I'm hoping it's like the New Day's adventures.
I'm not an anime guy in the slightest bit. I'm sure I'm gonna hate it just because it's anime, but I'm certainly going to check it out. You know,
I think you can't miss if you do the right characters. You can't miss.
Can we just get like Drew Gulak doing a Naruto run?
Yeah, like if you try to make it like, oh, here's an anime about Roman Reigns. It's like, you're gonna have to try harder to tell a story. If you just do, here's the fucking New Day, in like these 10-minute shorts, you can't miss.
I still think that they could have, if they wanted to. Back in the day, they couldn't probably do it now. They could have done some kind of an animated Undertaker story.
I'm surprised that they never expanded on the kayfabe story of Kane and the Undertaker in some medium, whether it's anime, traditional animation, comics, fucking fictional novels. Like, that is a story that you could really expand your lore, and you did not.
Maybe it's because they can never settle on who burned who. Because it was that whole, like, Undertaker accidentally burned everything. Actually, no, it was Kane. Actually, it was Undertaker on purpose. Actually, it was,
Well, no, it's Kane on accident, but Undertaker and Kane were playing around, and that's, like, you could have done it. Don't tell me, because people rationalize Twilight. Like, don't tell me you can't fucking figure this out.
To be fair, I have no idea what the story of Twilight is, other than girl goes, hey, vampire's hot, and he goes, yep. That's all I know. And then there's like a werewolf that fucks her too or something, right?
Yeah, there you go. You got the story.
That's literally it. She fucks a werewolf and a vampire, and does she fuck a mummy too? And Abbott and Costello.
I don't know if she fucks the werewolf. Listen, I saw the first one in theaters.
Boo.
I tried with the others. It didn't click.
I mean, I've never seen or read, or certainly not read. I ain't reading that. I did watch the first two of those Divergent movies, though. And then I said, I'm not watching any more of these.
Hey, listen. Fanboys Anonymous, pick your poison tier. If you want us to watch the Twilight films, it'll cost you. But we'll reconsider it.
If you want me to rewatch I Am Number 4, so I can go, why is he number 4? Just kind of do that thing. I had a whole, this is a sidetrack. I had a whole thing written up at one point, an outline. I didn't write up the full article, but I was going to write it up for Cracked, because I was a part of the Cracked writing team that I just didn't end up doing any of the stuff. But one of the articles that I had like in the works for them was, why are young adult movies obsessed with the number 4? And I had this like list of like, I don't know, 20 examples of like the number 4 being a big deal. And it was just one of those weird things with like I Am Number 4 had come out, and I was just kind of like, oh, and there's like the 4th book for this thing, and you keep making like, you stretch 3 books into 4 movies, and like number 4 for this, and everybody, 4 years of high school and 4 whatever, and all this, and I'm just like, it's all the number 4. That's what it is. It's the answer to everything, kind of. Yeah, I still hadn't even seen I Am Number 1, 2, or 3, so maybe I missed those 3.
Well, the number 23 and is 2 and 3. You'll get that to 2 and 3, 4.
That movie, when I went to go see that and I left, I went to see it with 2 different friends of mine. We're all in the same car, and we look at the clock, and it was like, it added up to 23, and we're like, "What? It's 23!" You know, that kind of thing.
You don't even smoke. Why do you have these moments of like, totally high, but I'm not high because I never get high.
I'm high on life.
No, you're not.
Like asphyxiation, kind of like it strangles the life out of me, and then I, going down a dark road here. And I don't know how to transition to this, so let's talk about WWE's most wanted treasures. The first episode came out. It was a Mick Foley centered episode. I, of course, was willing to check this out no matter what, but especially when it's Mick Foley, because Mick Foley's just like a saint. And
I don't like that noise.
It's not great.
Why? What don't you like?
Oh, did you check it out?
I did not. I forgot it was on.
So it's exactly what you would expect it to be. Where if you've seen any show that's like Pawn Stars, American Pickers, yeah.
So, like, for context, even though it's like not usually my scene, I love that shit.
I was into it for a while. I watched both of those shows. That's why I was like, I'm blanking on what the show's name was. I watched it for, I don't know, probably like 2 or 3 seasons. And then I got to the point where I was just kind of like, all right, I feel like every episode I'm watching the exact same episode. And I just kind of stopped, because how many times can I see somebody restore something? There was that other show too. There was like the spinoff of Pawn Stars where the guy would just be like, I sandblasted it. And you're like, all right, that's it. Every episode, it's just, I sandblasted it.
American Restoration.
Yeah, there you go. Sandblasted it and painted it. Now it looks brand new. And then he shows it to the person. The person goes, oh, man, it looks brand new.
But I love shit like that. Because I like that old vintage kind of stuff. You've seen the ridiculous things that if it strikes a chord with me as like, oh, this is sentimental. You've seen the ridiculous amount of money I'm willing to spend on things.
Like a jacket.
Yeah, like, oh my god, a Razor Ramon jacket? $200? No problem. Like, I'm an idiot. So, like, stuff like that definitely hits.
To me, after a while, those types of shows become so formulaic that I just kind of, I would almost rather see a screenshot of the 3 moments in the episode than anything else. And it follows exactly the same pattern. It is, they practically have the same music and the same filming style that the other ones do. So I don't know if they got the same teams or what, but it's the sort of thing where Stephanie and Triple H introduce the whole thing. They talk about WWE is this kind of a product. You know, we've got like, we're like real life superheroes, and they do that whole kind of thing that we've seen in like every casual audience documentary story, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same story every single time.
By the way, I thought this show was going to be like literally Stephanie and Hunter go treasure hunting for this shit.
Nope.
I was looking forward to that. They send the people out, which is kind of cool.
Well, right? They send some guy as like the sort of host of the show, and I guess he wants to be a pro wrestler too.
Why isn't this fucking Conrad Thompson?
Because he's in the podcast game. Yeah, he's got to do the ad-free shows instead. But it's this guy, and then whoever else is like, you know, going to authenticate what it is. And it's basically kind of like, well, they go to somebody's house and they go, oh man, you got a lot of cool stuff here. Okay, let's see the thing. This is the whatever thing. Is it real or not? Yeah, it is real. Okay, well then what are we going to have to give you to give it? Oh, I don't know. I don't really want to get rid of it because it's a really important part of my collection. Okay, well how about this amount of money? Nah, it's not good enough. Okay, well then what about this? Actually, maybe I'll do it for this price. Okay, well they got a deal. Happy music. It's so great that we can get this back in our collection. And we really want to see that it goes to a collection that people will really appreciate it. But okay, the next segment is rolling along. And it's like, all right, you watch that one time, I'm like, I know what it is already. And to spoil the Foley thing, I think that the most interesting, because the Foley aspect, they were like, well, is Triple H is talking to him, and Triple H and Stephanie are talking to McFoley. And they're like, well, what do you think we should try to get to go into the warehouse? And Foley says, well, I would think if we're looking for 3 pieces of stuff, we need to do from each one from the 3 phases of Foley. So probably, and it doesn't really work out that way. It's like, let's get the Mankind shirt and the Cactus Jack flannel. And I'm blanking on what the other one was, actually.
And the Dude Love.
It wasn't glasses.
Bandana?
It wasn't bandana. It was that uneventful that I don't remember already. Just watched this the other day. But whatever it was, they went through and they did that kind of thing. And like he goes and he talks to the one person, and one person's like, I don't want to get rid of the flannel because it means too much to me. And they decide that what they're going to do is they're going to take him to the warehouse for a tour because nobody really gets the chance to tour it. And that he can get something in return from the warehouse, which to me is like,
what the fuck? No.
Doesn't that make no sense? You're trying to get stuff and put it in the warehouse. Now you're giving something up in the warehouse. Tell me if you think that this is a good bargain. They give him the barbed wire that was on fire. And from the Royal Rumble. They give him that and money for the Cactus Jack flannel shirt.
I want that deal. I'll buy a flannel shirt and tell you.
I'm like, man, the Cactus Jack flannel shirt. All right, that's kind of cool, but I would think the money alone. Why would you give up the barbed wire bat with that? He made the argument of like, well, that was only in one match. The Cactus Jack thing he wore a lot, but I'm like, no, it's still just a flannel shirt. It's not all that cool compared to the other thing.
I would want the burned.
The bat, yeah. You know? So that's just weird to me.
So like this show has to end with them announcing, and we're going to have an official physical Hall of Fame where you can see all of these items. Right?
I'm hoping so, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I'm working more so in WWE territory these days as anything that can lead to something probably isn't. It's probably going to be the bare minimum all the time. Because look at like Peacock. Switching over to Peacock, it could have been a scenario where it was like, well, they're going to go over to Peacock, but maybe that'll give them more money and they'll put more shows up. And instead it was like, well, it's going to take a couple months to get back to normal. And that's a shame.
That's kind of the trade-off. Here's some extended time.
So, like, I don't think this is going to lead to a physical Hall of Fame. I think it's literally A&E said, can you do WWE stuff? And WWE said,
can you do WWE stuff?
Give me money and we'll figure it out. And then A&D was like, okay, here's money. What stuff? And WWE said, I don't know. You do biographies. Let's do biographies. And then they said, well, we need a second show. And then they went, I don't know. You like that stuff. Why don't we do that? I think it's literally the same as like, we've never gotten confirmation about this, but I am 100% sure Main Event exists just to appease Hulu. It has to be.
Maybe.
It has to be that in their deal with Hulu that they have to produce some sort of Hulu exclusive pro wrestling content. And that this is the literal bare minimum that they can do is let's pre-record some stuff before Monday Night Raw, and you can only watch it on Hulu. Because it can't be that they actually care, you know?
Well, you never know.
I can't imagine anybody in WWE really, truly cares about main event. If it is, then why do they not have it on the show's page on WWE.com, you know? If they put up the stuff like the Fight Like a Girl, and they put up the Mixed Match Challenge, and they put up all this other kind of stuff, they always neglect main event.
I think it's because like they know it's not ever gonna be anything worth covering, which is terrible. Because like you shouldn't just exist to be nothing worth covering, but here you are.
But it is kind of the fact of the matter when it comes to business, because I'll be honest, like, look, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a, an omnipotent person or anything like that, but I'm always fair and I'm always honest. And if somebody approaches me and they said to me, I want to license out something regarding to Smark Out Moment, and can we get Smark Out Moment content up on our platform, and we work out all the deals and all that other kind of stuff, I'm not going to treat that as the number one priority because it's a side deal, you know?
Right.
An A&E show, they're not going to put all their resources into an A&E show. The A&E show is like, well, is this good enough for A&E? Okay, well, maybe we'll have some fun doing that. It'll be a little thing we do for a season or something.
This is them saying we're like fucking Marvel. Look, we have all this content, all these places.
It's like you try to do the quantity instead of quality type of thing.
Yeah,
It's not bad if you like those type of shows too. That's the other thing. Like, if you do like Pawn Stars, then you'll like most Wanted Treasures. For me,
so,
after a while, I'm
maybe
like,
I will, but I'm also just I want them to care about their product.
Right.
It doesn't seem like they do. It seems like they're so wrapped up in this idea of, but by God, the brand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but you're sullying the brand, guys. Please.
A lot of the passion's gone away to make room for a lot of the corporate stuff.
And not to, I know we've sidetracked so much time, and I apologize. Thank you to all who continue to listen. But it's like John Cena said, oh, my time is done. You know, I was a part of WrestleMania. That part
You
is
can't
done.
see me. My time is done.
Like, and I'm like, but when I told you earlier this year, it's been 8 years since John Cena has headlined a Mania, you were like, that's insane.
Yeah,
And
doesn't feel like it.
like, I feel like we were kind of robbed. And he's like, oh, but they're thriving without me. No, they're not. But they're really not. Like, they have multi-billion-dollar deals. That's because people are obsessed with the word content. You know, it's not like, oh my God, WWE's never been better. It's just like, no, they have content and people are desperate for content.
Content creation is key nowadays.
I hate it.
I'd imagine if, like, whatever happened to, like, Machinima?
They're still a thing, aren't they?
I don't think so.
Honestly, I wouldn't know.
But, like, all of those types of things, it used to be kind of like these they were just too early kind of things, you know? I would assume some of those would be like, man, right now, if I could sell that off.
From
And Rob's turned to do a Transformer again. Transformers has a lot of content. Let's see if Rob can get reconnected along this line. In the meantime, while I'm figuring that out, let me toss out another quick plug. Facebook and Twitter. Follow us on Smark Out Moment, at Smark Out Moment. Follow us on Fanboys Anonymous, Facebook.com/Fanboys Anonymous, and Twitter.com/Fanboys Anon. Trying to be a little bit more active when it comes to that. Fast book?
It sounded like you said fast book, but I don't know if
That's probably
my
on
connection
the...
was still being weird.
Yeah. If I did, I'm not on fast book. Don't check out whatever that is. I don't know if fast book is a thing. It's gonna be like some different version of Tinder or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would recommend Most Wanted Treasures to anybody who's into those kind of things, but I felt disappointed. I'll probably check out the other episodes just because I'm kind of interested to see what the actual memorabilia is, but I got a feeling what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip through everything except for when they show what the thing is.
Which is fair.
I haven't checked out the biography yet, though.
So, like, I heard it was great. It did the best number for the series in over 16 years.
Wow.
But, like, I'm wondering from a personal standpoint, how much can I learn about Stone Cold Steve Austin that I didn't already know?
Right. After watching so many specials and so many interviews and everything, I can't imagine something that's a little bit more for the casual being really informative. I did like the Andre biography, for instance, but then again, that's because I don't really know all that much about Andre in comparison. Stone Cold, I watched it all, you know, like, well, not all of it. I wasn't watching for a couple of years, but you know what I mean? Like, if you dive deeper into Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, those kind of guys, I already know them. If I watched a thing that was about Bobby the Brain Heenan, then I might learn something. So I might learn more from that Rowdy Roddy Piper one than from Austin.
You know, I learned a lot from that trailer.
That trailer is great. If anybody hasn't seen that, the trailer for the Piper episode starts off with Vince McMahon pretending that he's talking to Piper on the phone in hell.
Like, what?
It's a weird way to... Hey, you know what you should do?
He's so playful with it. He's like, yeah, oh, you saved me a seat right next to you. Thank you. Like, wow.
Oh, not yet. Not for a couple more years, you know?
Yeah, like which is also great. He's like, not only is he acknowledging that he's not ready to die, he's also like, I know I'm going to hell. You assholes. Like,
yeah, so if I check out that biography one, maybe I'll tweet something out about it or something. But if you checked it out, drop a comment below and tell us what you thought. Last hot tag to go around here is TV talk. Start off with Dynamite, because why not? I've talked about AEW for a little bit. Anything that stood out on Dynamite that you want to harp on?
MJF's promo was fucking great. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is the best thing in wrestling today. He just sounds so believable when he speaks. He sounds so much like a professional wrestler. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't sound like he's playing the part. He sounds like this is him and this is his moment.
I love MJF.
I love him, man. He's so good.
24. Like
He said, I think he recently turned 25 because he said, you know, I'm 25 and I'm in the main event. When you were 25, you were jerking the curtain on Worldwide. He also said, he gave Wardlow time to speak, and Wardlow didn't fumble the ball. He was like,
yeah.
You know, Chris, you started to stutter and stumble your words when you mentioned me, because you knew when you mentioned me, you made a mistake. And it's like, oh,
Like Wardlow can talk.
Like,
Yeah.
that is what a promo is. You know, it's not, I'm going to stand out here and say that I love this business and I am going to go to WrestleMania and tell you why that I should be at the top of this business. Point to sign. Like, it's... and for Jericho to come out like 20 minutes later and completely fumble the ball.
That
God,
show tunes thing didn't land.
First of all, because he failed. He was like, for a minute there, I knew where he was going. Felt like I knew the tune he was singing. And then he's just like, and I shoved his head in the toilet. And like he lost the rhythm.
He lost the rhyming scheme. He lost,
and was just like, toilet, hey Lois, toilet. But then he's talking about how, oh, MJF, you sound so fake. You sound like you're reading off of a script. It's like, no, he didn't. He sounded like he was gonna fucking tear your head off. MJF said, I'm not a mark for you. I'm a mark for your spot, and I'm coming for it. Like, are you? Yes. Yes. Hell yeah. That's what stood out to me on Dynamite, Tony.
Yeah, more than anything else for me. The only other thing would be Kanji puts up a good fight against Shida.
Kanji's so fucking good.
And Baker comes out afterward, and they do the whole thing where her ranking moves on the screen, and it's like, all right, she's number one now. Like Shida versus Baker
so
at Double or
good.
Nothing seems.
That's so good. I like Moxley and Kingston.
They work well together.
They don't land, like, they're not my preferred cup of tea, but they work well together. And I got a kick out of Moxley going, bitch AF. Like, I just, because like that's not the way Moxley speaks. So it just felt funnier.
I liked when he threw the thing and Kingston's like, you want to wait until I get out of the way?
And he's just fucking get out of the way then.
Yeah.
Like, why are you in the way?
Yeah, I like that little bit. Most of the rest of it was just sort of like, it was fine.
Christian beat Powerhouse Hobbs. I like seeing Christian wrestle. I never won't like seeing Christian wrestle.
Darby Allin and Jungle Boy had a great match, but I mean,
are you surprised?
Not surprised, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I assumed that was going to be the best match on the night, and it was. So, thumbs up.
Next week it's I think Statlander Ford, Cassidy Penta. It's another thing happened. Alex Abrahantes.
He's really like loving this role.
Now. He's just the Spanish Ranjan Singh.
Yeah. You can tell he's loving it. Just like, that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hop over to NXT UK. Why not?
Great show.
Coffee beat Eddie Dennis. Gradwell beat Massive Dave Mastiff. I mean, maybe if he would have been Massive Dave Mastiff instead of Bomber Dave Mastiff,
maybe if he would have been Massive Dave Mastiff, I think somebody needs to like get on this. Hey Nigel, Massive Dave Mastiff, say it. Like,
I think that's the issue. Is Mastiff can only win if they're going to announce him afterward as Massive Dave Mastiff. If they go, hey, entering this match is Bomber Dave Mastiff, it's like, oh, he's not going to win. If Massive Dave Mastiff would have came in, he would have won. Just saying. But Valkyrie's gonna fight Miko Satomura next week. They did this tonight. The other afternoon for us was very vignette heavy. They did a vignette for Dragunov, Valkyrie, Mackenzie, Rohan Raja, Teoman. A backstage segment with Amir Jordan where he's going to fight Kenny Williams next week in a no DQ lose release NXT UK match.
They're not fighting next week.
Oh, that's right. They didn't specify that it was next week. It's happening sometime soon.
Yeah, probably in 2 weeks.
Probably. Yeah. Next week is a 6-man tag. Hunt against Gallus. Well, not the Hunt. Whatever they're calling that team. It's Dennis, T-Bone, and Primate.
And Dennis.
Which we still have no confirmation about what's going on with Wild Boar. Very confused about that.
Didn't they like execute him in promo?
Like, did you hear him fire him? Like, yeah, I mean, Deliverance is on my list of movies that I haven't seen that I will. But I don't know if that means that he's released or if he's injured or, But we're getting that. There was another tease of Coffee against Rampage Brown to happen sometime down the line. Not really a great episode, I thought.
Yeah, it was good. I grown to like this show. I think I just like the placement of the show. And it's like this easy afternoon watch that I can write off as like, oh, I can't grab those ratings because I'm watching NXT. Nah, but seriously, like it's fine show.
It's nothing like offensive. It's just kind of blah to me.
Somebody was like really upset. I was doing the WrestleZone SmackDown podcast, and they're like, with all these releases, why don't they just cut NXT UK? It's never good. And I'm like, oh fuck, like, God.
There's a couple people that I would want them to, if they could, bring them from NXT UK over. But if they got rid of NXT UK as a brand, I wouldn't be all as upset.
Did you know that Kaylee Ray reached 600-day mark on Thursday?
That's ridiculous. 600.
She won the title. When she won the title, technically, because it was earlier in the day, Chris Jericho hadn't even been crowned the first AEW champion yet.
Seems like you could have said the first undisputed champion. He hadn't even beaten The Rock and Stone Cold at the same night. Chris Jericho hadn't even curtain jerked.
God, worldwide.
Worldwide. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Viking Raiders beat Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin again. They've been doing a lot of this again, where it's like just that again, kind of a thing. Damian Priest beat The Miz.
Why did they kick Shelton and Cedric out of the Hurt Business?
I really would like to know. Seems like Randy Orton might be injured. He had a match with Riddle.
No.
Did we get confirmation that it's not?
Just no. Randy is good at selling. I got no hint that he's hurt.
I hope not.
I know that people are saying he's hurt, but I don't think it's just no. Like,
I wasn't digging the Miz and Maurice going, hey, remember last week we had our premiere. We really want you to watch the show kind of thing.
I like Maurice. I like Maurice with Miz. They're a good package. Keep them together.
I don't want next week's Raw to have another Miz TV saying watch Miz and Mrs. If that's the case, I'm going to go in the other room and I'm going to do something else. You know?
What are you going to do? What's more important than Miz and Mrs.?
I don't know. Go to the bathroom.
Jeez.
Eat a peanut butter sandwich. Like, just anything. Like,
cause peanut butter? What kind of bread?
White bread, probably. I don't know. Regular, is it like Nature's Own butter bread or something?
Butter bread is good. I prefer potato, but butter bread is good.
Potato bread's really good.
They're just snack talk.
Bread. Just bread. You can't go wrong with buttered bread, though. Like, I mean, anyway.
It's a basic, but it's beautiful.
Elias and Kofi, they had a thing with a handicap match that turned into Braun Strowman helping out Drew McIntyre, but losing to T-Bar and Mace, who got unmasked.
You know what I don't like about this? They're still going by T-Bar and Mace.
Yeah, maybe it's just like steps. Like they need to get rid of the stupid masks, and then they can get rid of the stupid names.
I hope so.
Because T-Bar is such a dumb name, and Mace is just so bland. At least give them last names, you know? Like if it was like, I don't know, Mace.
T-Bar Jones and
Window. And I don't know what T-Bar's last name would be.
Jones.
T-Bar Jones?
T-Bar Jones.
Okay, T-Bar Jones and Mace Windu. And Asuka beat Charlotte. And then Charlotte attacked the referee, and now they're writing her off.
For the time being, yeah.
Now, should we speculate or
no,
based off of the way that happened with Dave Meltzer, I would assume it's not a good idea to speculate about why.
No, I don't actually. And Charlotte's team said it was dental surgery, and thank you.
Oh, also, Humberto Carrillo came out at one point and he's like, I'm going to fight for that. Ow, 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 ow. They really sent him out there to get his ass whooped by Sheamus for no reason. It's a poor Humberto.
So Sheamus said, I'm doing the United States Open Challenge again. And Carrillo comes out and gets his ass kicked.
Just whooped. And not even like in a title match where it could be like, all right, well, he defended the title. No, he just jumps him. And so I'm assuming we're getting a match next week because that's a way to do it twice.
He got his ass kicked. He doesn't deserve a match.
Doesn't matter. They'll do it. They'll just go, based off of what happened last week, let's look at the footage of what happened. And then we can go, Humberto Carrillo, backstage, Sarah Schreiber can ask him, last week, you came out for a United States Championship match against the Celtic Warrior Sheamus, and he attacked you ahead of that. Going into your match tonight, what are you thinking? And he'll be like, well, I really want to win that title and not get my ass whooped, Sarah. And it'll be like, well, go out there and you do your thing. I'm going to go stare off into nothing right now.
You wish you would say go do your thing. You just go, back to you.
No, she won't even say back to you. She'll nod after he walks away. And she'll look off to the side because this is what all of them do. It's not Sarah's fault. And then Michael Cole or whoever will be like, or Adnan Virk will be like, well, I was hearing a story about Humberto Carrillo the other day when I was eating a nice ballpark hot dog and over on the side of the WWE Thunderdome, he got his ass whooped.
For what it's worth, I like him. I do.
I like doing my impression of him enough that I want him to stay around just so I can keep doing it. That is the generic baseball voice. It's the same impression that I would do for anybody. So it's not even like it's just an ad.
We're eating a ballpark hot dog.
Like, our sponsors today are going to check out the new stadium over there. It's a nice crisp day. It's 82 degrees outside and he's just going to, he hit one right over the edge of that right there, and it's caught. How about that? Side note, if you want to watch a really good baseball movie that's not a baseball movie, but it's got baseball in it and some great baseball moments, Naked Gun. My God. Just so good.
Lieutenant?
The feeling's mutual. Where the hell was I? Anyway, let's talk about SmackDown. SmackDown was a nothing episode. This episode was Cesaro's like, hey, I want that title match. And at the end of the episode, Raymond's is like, nah, how about Brian? So, there you go.
So they set up Brian and Reigns for next week. And if Brian loses, he's banished from SmackDown. Do you think Brian loses?
I think he wins by DQ.
Oh, that's worse.
That way,
I kind of just want him to win.
Jey Uso gets involved or something. He says that he won, but he didn't win the title. He sticks around.
It's a good place to bring Edge back.
I'd be okay with that.
Because we haven't seen him, and I think it's weird that we haven't seen him, even to just address the fact that he lost.
Tamina beat Nia again, just to keep doing the whole, like, you had your match already, but now if you win 15 more matches, then we can say you deserve another shot, and then we can do the match again. That kind of thing.
At WrestleMania Backlash.
You can do the WrestleMania match. You can do the WrestleMania match at WrestleMania Backlash. Tamina Snuka going for another shot against Nia Jax. Maybe I need to do a whole episode of Smack Talk like that. What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 490 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. Sponsored by Big League Chew. I don't know, whatever. Apollo and Kevin Owens had a match for the Intercontinental Championship that the best case scenario happened where they set up a fatal four-way, basically. So even though Big E is going to be still in the title picture, we're probably not going to get just the 8th match between them. It'll probably be Kevin Owens and the best thing of the episode, a dancing Sami Zayn.
Well, we are getting the 8th match between them.
Oh, that's right. Next week they're doing. Yeah. It's happening anyway. Never mind.
And then we'll get the fatal.
Then we'll get. So that'll be number 9. Then.
So like, but if you remember, I think it was like 5 years. Oof, fuck, 5 years ago. It was Kevin, Sammy, Cesaro, and Miz at Extreme Rules in a Fatal 4-Way, and it was good. And if you can capture that kind of lightning again, I'd be alright with it.
I'm cool with a Fatal 4-Way if they do that.
At WrestleMania Backlash.
We got and if anybody hasn't seen the footage of Sami Zayn dancing, check it out. It was the best part of the episode. We got Reggie's back for his whole thing. Aleister Black was doing a little bit of a thing that he's kind of biting off a little bit of the Tian Sha stuff. Where it was like this animation of talking about this, like, the story, and there's like, I need to become the dragon, and he also
What
just
is
said
it
like
with
fuck the
dragons,
audience,
bro?
basically.
What is it with dragons? Like,
They're hot right now.
gonna-
Fing Fang Foom is coming out with Shang-Chi.
Are we gonna have like my dragon versus your dragon at Survivor Series?
Well, eventually Survivor Series is going to be renamed to WrestleMania Wagon Your Dragon.
Oh my. Okay, go.
Is the first dragon related thing I can think of other than Fin Fang Foom.
WrestleMania Wagon Your Dragon. Okay.
And the pay-per-view is just going to be butts.
And over here, pal, we've got a nice ballpark hot dog
Yeah.
chip.
Welcome everybody to WrestleMania Wagon Your Dragon.
I'm Adnan Burke, and we've got cheeks for days.
I don't think there's anything else that happened on SmackDown. Dirty
NXT.
Dogs are still going to have stuff going on with Street Profits. Mysterio's beat Alpha Academy.
Bailey's fighting Bianca at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. So at least it's not just a rematch with Banks, even though it's a rematch with Bailey. We've
It's
already
going to
seen
turn
it.
into a triple threat, and you're
It
going
might
to
be.
see more Banks and Bailey.
Oh, and NXT. Let's see. NXT LA Knight, or La Knight, defeated Dexter Loomis. We got some more down that story about the whole Loomis and Indy Hartwell kind of budding romance. Io Shirai's interview with Beth Phoenix was interrupted by Frankie Monet. Grizzled Young Veterans beat Breezango. Saray beat Zoe Stark. Toni Storm attacked Zoe Stark after the match just to send a message to Saray. Kushida retained the NXT Cruiserweight Championship over Oni Lorcan and got attacked by Legado del Fantasma. MSK helped out. 6-man tag coming up. Barium beat Everrise, even though Everrise rules. I liked the thing with Cameron Grimes. I thought that was fun. That it was another Ted DiBiase related thing where he was bidding for like an NFT or something, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like, we regret to inform you that we had a bigger bid from somebody else named Ted DiBiase. Just Ted DiBiase, They got to get Ted.
They are getting Ted. Ted already said like he was filming a segment with Grimes.
Oh, good. Because they got to do something,
Yeah.
I thought that was going to happen at TakeOver. But
It should have.
doing it on TV, I'm cool with it. As long as they do something with Ted DiBiase. Because
They should let Grimes have the belt.
just give him the belt.
No, give him the
Some
$1
belt.
million title.
Oh, the $1 million one. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the
Yeah.
NXT Championship.
They should let him have the $1 million title.
He lost to Kyle O'Reilly. And
People were mad about the way Kyle looked. Why?
How so?
They were just like, oh my god, he looks such a dork. Like, yeah, he's like the leading role in a indie rom-com. What do you expect Kyle O'Reilly to look like?
Hey, that's coming off as a little bit like a dork, but it's like,
But it's Kyle.
who cares? Like,
He played air guitar on his
right?
belt.
Yeah. It's not like he's coming off trying to be the Undertaker. Like, it's kind of Kyle O'Reilly. He's just being a dork. All right. Daniel Bryan's a dork.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like wrestlers are dorks. It's okay.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny when he won that match. They were like running overtime almost, and it was just gonna like Kyle O'Reilly wins. All right, see you later, everybody. Bye. Kind of thing. Meanwhile, SmackDown ends up like 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
That's the stuff from the week. I didn't have anything else to mention. I don't think there was anything else that went on. Am I missing anything?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm writing right now. MC Hammer just randomly complimented Naomi on Twitter.
Just a random compliment?
He came across a clip of her and Alexa Bliss at like Elimination Chamber from years ago and was like, oh shit, those are elite skills, Naomi. And I was like, all right.
That's just MC Hammer years late being like, hey, thumbs up. Yeah. You're writing up an article about that?
Yep. It's 1 a.m. on the dot. That's what I'm doing, folks.
To check out the most recent MC Hammer news, follow Rob at Dude Felice.
That's right. Can't touch this. Mostly because we're in a pandemic. But yeah. Follow me on Twitter at Dude Felice. Check out everything at Fightful.com, WrestleZone.com, SmarkOutMoment.com, including the Power Rankings, which is Callum weekly contribution. I contributed to the Triple Threat this week. Follow all that stuff because Dallas works his ass off. Check out Fanboys Anonymous because, God, I love that place. Tony?
Yeah, check out all the stuff that we got going on the 2 different sites here. You can be following us and you'll find out all that information and everything. Subscribe to the RSS feeds, subscribe to the channels, follow the Facebook and the Twitter, all that other kind of stuff.
You can subscribe to the RSS feeds anywhere.
Now, they can subscribe to the RSS feeds. You can't do the feed burner email subscription anymore. So for anybody that didn't get that email that I had sent out, I sent out an email to everybody who, according to FeedBurner, had subscribed to it. I don't know if anybody really saw it. I don't know if anybody really bothered to care, but FeedBurner decided, screw it, we don't want to do that anymore. So anybody who is on the email side of things, you have to do it through another method. And there's lots of different ways. There's like a feed reader on Google Chrome that's just like an extension. There's Blog Trotter. There's If This Then That. And I sent everybody an email with that information of like, here's a couple ways that you could do that too. So if you are a part of that and you're confused and the email is something that you bypassed or you want more information, then let me know. And I'll, drop a comment below and I'll respond to you and I'll give you some more information about that. But you can subscribe to the RSS feed. It's just not through the email subscription part of FeedBurner anymore. And the little RSS feed's still up on the same spot underneath the little header of the website. And everything else that's happening that I've got going on, you'll find it at Tony Mango. Maybe even some random rants that I do every once in a while. I've been kind of writing up and then deleting a bunch of rants here and there. But sometimes I post some every once in a while where I'm just like, my God, everybody's like frustrating and whatever. Or how good is, I don't know, how good's bread? Kind of a thing.
So brioche buns are where it's at, right?
Brioche is so good. Yeah.
Fucking brioche.
But sometimes you got to get like a ciabatta bun or something,
You got a ciabatta.
If anybody goes to Red Robin, for instance, if you get the Whiskey River barbecue burger,
oh, that sounds great.
Get it on the ciabatta bun. It's better. It holds it better. And I want one so bad right now. You got caramelized onion, crispy onion straws.
Caramelized onions are such a great topping.
Some more snack talk coming at some point. Check out the next episode of the Smark Women Smack Talk podcast where you get a bunch of wrestling news and talk about bread and caramelized onions and ballpark franks.
Ballpark franks and Marvel. Like it's everything. We're a smorgasbord of content.
Well, I was going to go with smorgasbord moment, but it's a mouthful.
That's right.
Anyway, that'll do us in for episode 490. Thank you for listening to this, everybody. We will see you in the next whole set of things, which We don't know 100% what they're going to be yet, but if you are staying tuned, then you'll know when we know. And then it'll go up, and then you can listen to it. That's how this exchange works. And we will see you whenever that is. Check out the fanboy stuff. That's even closer. And adios for now. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.